What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Salt Shack Podcast. My name's Bryce, aka Bruce Jablanca, and I'm here with.
Caleb or War Monkey 75.
And today's a little bit of a different episode. It's not technically a podcast episode, but we're gonna review Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse today. Usually we would do like a segment in the podcast for movie reviews, but I think going forward we're just gonna make a separate video completely reviewing a movie because depending on how we feel about the movie, it could be like a 15-minute review or like 35-minute review. So it'd just be better to have as a normal episode. So yeah, but today we're gonna talk about Across the Spider-Verse. We went and saw that on Thursday. Today's Saturday. We're going to do a spoiler-free review at the beginning, and then we'll do a non-spoiler, or spoiler one,
Yeah.
after. So, if you haven't seen the movie, you can stay for the spoiler-free part, and then we'll get into more detail later on. So, what do you think of Across the Spider-Verse spoiler-free version?
I thought it was a great movie. A very good continuation from the first one. I think usually the second movies and trilogies are the ones that like stand out because they want to make it different. But I think it did a great job of kind of staying with the whole everything that happened in the first movie. It does focus on Gwen more, but that's what you get with like trilogies. You get introduced to more characters because like even in Toy Story you get more about Jessie, and Cars you get more about Mater. It's just classic trilogy set up, but still a great movie. Even if you haven't seen the first one, I think they tell you enough about the first one, but it's like probably should see
I
it.
would 100% watch the first one before this, just because I'm sure everyone knows who Miles Morales is, but it's a great origin story anyways, so you should watch it. Great movie. I mean, I knew what to expect. I've seen the trailers, but I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I think it overdid my expectations on that point because I didn't really know what we were going into. Obviously, there's a lot of Spider-Man in this movie. You see it in the trailers. 2099, you see all the returning ones. And yeah, I mean, it's just really good.
Yeah.
Like, the first one's animation is like one of the best animations in general, but this movie took animation to even higher level.
Yeah.
The animation was insane on it.
It's a great looking movie.
There were parts where the serious parts where I was obviously I was focused on what they were talking about, but also it's just like all the colors in the background and how they were changing the scene and how it looked. Like some characters looked way different than other characters on purpose, and that made it look really good. So.
Yeah, because it was like they were from their own stuff.
Yeah.
And it was different than what we were used to. Just a PSA. If you're in a movie, be quiet.
Oh, yeah. So we went to our theater's premiere of this. It was a full theater, and there were people in front of us that thought they were being funny by talking the entire movie and going on their phone. It was not funny. It was funny at first just because they were making funny remarks, getting amped up. That's cool. That can be in a movie. You can get amped up, get excited. But once you just start having full conversations, having your phone out, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
And it really didn't help because we were literally right next to them, but it probably sucked for every other person in the theater that could also hear them because it was just like, God, stop, please.
Yeah. During all these really quiet, emotional parts, you would just see them like, okay, dude, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But
No, Shit's crazy. Yeah. Anyways, I like you said, it was more about Gwen. Like especially the beginning part
Yeah.
was all Gwen. I was really expecting it. This is not a spoiler, by the way. I was really expecting it to be Miles, like opening it up again. Um, but it does start with Gwen, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I have a lot of spoiler stuff on here, so I don't know if you have more spoiler-free stuff.
um, I went into it not really knowing what like Spot does,
Oh
the
yeah,
main villain. Yeah, no, he's a good villain.
yeah,
When they explain stuff about him, it's like, yeah,
yeah.
that
Because
makes sense.
and without spoiling anything, it all ties back into the first movie,
Yeah.
which is really nice. I kind of figured he'd just be like, he kind of looks like a character that wouldn't speak and just does things, but
Yeah.
he does speak. He's a good villain. He's like quirky as a villain, and I enjoy that a lot. And he's not a joke villain. He kind of looks like a joke. Like
Yeah.
when the I'll talk about the Legends later, but when the Marvel Legends line came out, I was like, okay, this guy looks silly. Which
Yeah.
doesn't help that Legends didn't give him most of his abilities in action figure form. It was kind of just him with like a couple like Spot with Miles pieces on it,
Yeah.
which is just like cool, I guess, but like I wish he had more. Even if it was a deluxe figure, it
Oh
would
yeah,
have been nice.
that'd be really
So,
cool if they had that.
yeah, I mean, I don't really want to say too much else if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about the
Like,
majority of it.
yeah, like if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's worth it. It for an animated movie, it's pretty long on the long side.
It is very long.
It's like I want to say it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something,
Yeah.
which is like doesn't seem that long for like a Marvel movie, but like, and I will say it doesn't feel long, but like, yeah, I'll get into that later. So that was our spoiler-free review. If you haven't seen it, thanks for watching, I guess. um, if you have seen it, or if you just don't care and you want to hear us talk about it, we will be starting that right now.
Yep, leave right now. This is your final warning if you don't want spoilers.
How do you feel about it? Legitimately now.
It's like there were so many Easter eggs, it was hard to keep track, which
Yeah.
is like awesome because I know there will be a list eventually.
There's already a list. I already looked because I
Okay.
was taking notes on what I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. There, and I will say we picked up on pretty much all of them.
Okay.
Like all of them, I pretty much remembered. So, the beginning with Gwen and her kind of backstory with her Peter Parker, because in her dimension, Peter Parker is Lizard, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And her whole like obviously Peter Parker died because he was a lizard, and then her dad is the cop in that like universe,
Yeah.
and blames Spider Gwen. He doesn't know that his daughter is Spider Gwen.
Yeah.
But it's just like that's interesting.
It is, yeah. It's kind of like a what if.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was really interesting. And then it also goes into the first appearance of Miguel O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099
Yeah.
and Jess Drew. They joined that universe because one of the villains from a different universe gets out in Spider-Gwen's universe, the Vulture. So that was interesting.
Yeah. That vulture was cool.
Yeah, he's like a Renaissance vulture. He's like
Yeah.
super. He looks like he's made of paper, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned that multiple times when
do.
fighting them. It's like, bro, you are literally made of paper. But
Here he was, taking them all on.
yeah, yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. I don't think it's a con, but because usually there's an intro to a movie, and then it goes like the title, and the intro to Across the Spiderverse was like 20 minutes before the actual title came up.
Yeah.
Because it was all of Gwen's backstory, then the fight with Vulture with Jess Drew in 2099, and then it was the like opening intro, which
Yeah.
was like, it was different. I don't think I really minded it, but I was like, I remember in the theater going like, oh damn, that took a second to get to the
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
It was like a little awkward. I was like just the drumming part at the beginning.
Oh
if
yeah,
he's
that
going
was so
off,
weird.
and I was just like, this is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that too much. She was like aggressively drumming, and it was just like pictures of like Miles and Gwen and like the other Spider-Man from the last movie, and it was like,
She just kept repeating like the same words, and Miles, and Miles,
yeah,
and
it was
Miles,
like,
and I was like, what's going on?
yeah, um, yeah, that was interesting to say the least.
I think the coloring in Gwen's world was very like showing. Like
yeah, it's very weird. Like, sorry.
Gwen was like blue most of the time, which like made sense with her character because she was just sad and depressed. And then her dad was red, who was trying to like make her happier. And then it was kind of like a watercolor painting, but it was very like telling of emotions, and it was cool. It was like kind of weird to not see the majority of the backgrounds though, 'cause
Yeah,
it was
no.
all like kind of washed everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain during the spoiler freaks. Like, the animation was just so weird. Like, Gwen and her dad would be arguing, and then all of a sudden it's like them as colors, and then the background just like disappears into other watercolor type
Yeah.
colors. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I think it was really interesting, but
Yeah.
it was just like, this is like next level animation type stuff right now, because it's portraying these two characters in an argument, like, but also the animation's just going nuts in the background, and it's not really that distracting. It was just
No.
like, this is different and I like it, so
Yeah. And Spider-Punk, Hobie, when he came out, he's animated like if you cut out pictures from a magazine.
yeah.
Like, that was cool. Sometimes it felt like it was too big. Like, I felt when the way they cut out his guitar and his head and stuff, it's like, that's just huge.
Yeah. One really weird part was, well, this wasn't the weird part, but they brought back like the, hey, my name is blank, with like the comic book kind of thing, like in the
Yeah.
first movie. And during Spider-Punk's, he said, I'm not going to show you my face. And then like 5 minutes later, it shows his face. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. Like, that was interesting. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. He's not going to show his face. And then like literally 8 minutes later, he just takes off his mask. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Miles is like, how are you even cooler under the mask than... I was like, yep. He was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Hobie was extremely like rebellious, so
Yeah.
it was kind of like an intro into his character where he's like, I'm not gonna show you that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, whatever.
And he's from the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a huge plot point later on when
Yeah.
certain people start going against 2099's ideas, and I think Spider-Punk was like already thinking he's not gonna be here much longer, and was like,
Yeah.
I'm dipping. And then at the end, he obviously helps Gwen, because Gwen got her watch taken away. The watches, those were interesting.
Yeah.
Because obviously in the first movie, they couldn't help the fact that they were in a different universe, and they were like tweaking and glitching out. But now they have watches where they can decide where they go, and they don't glitch when they have the watch on. So that's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
I wrote down a ton of characters that I wanted to talk about. Pav, or the Spider-Man Indian
Oh, yeah.
He was cool.
He
I really
was.
liked his powers.
Yeah.
He was quirky and fun.
He had the yo-yo.
Yeah. Which set up a huge part of the movie. I mean, Miles, there's not much to talk about. Miles is sick. Like, he had a new
Yeah.
suit. Like, he's more grown up now. His roommate knows that he's Spider-Man, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
They like kind of made a nod to Tom Holland. He was like, they were like, "Oh, you want to be my man in the chair?" And he's like, "No." He was also playing Spider-Man PS4 on
He
his
was.
computer, which was
He
a
was.
cool Easter egg.
Yeah.
But that was funny, and I don't know.
I feel like he doesn't utilize his invisibility as much as he should. Like he
I
did.
mean, he kind of did
Yeah.
more. Well, obviously in the first movie, he was just figuring out he could.
Yeah.
But when he like followed Gwen around, like listening to gestures, like
Yeah.
phone thing, that was like pretty solid. I thought for sure he was gonna get caught, but I mean he jumped through the portal, so technically he did get caught.
Yeah. Like it'd probably be like too OP if he used it in combat, but you never know. Cause what if like Spot's not gonna teleport his hands away if he can't see him?
But yeah. That also introduces Spot when Miles goes to his like counseling meeting. You just see Spot. I don't know. I enjoy Spot's voice. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
different. Spot is like one of those like scientists from the first movie that helped make the portal kind of thing,
Yeah.
and then when it got destroyed, he got destroyed with it pretty much.
Yeah.
And now he can pretty much make black holes and go anywhere he wants. So
Yeah, portals like throughout dimensions, which is crazy.
yeah, no, it was really interesting because obviously he still doesn't really know how to use it. So
Uh-huh.
he like when he was fighting Peter, he robbed the ATM at the beginning and he was like trying to shove it down the hole and it's
Yeah.
not working. That was funny.
It's coming out the street.
Yeah.
They're like, put an ATM there.
Yeah. No, that was funny. But then when he finally figured it out, he like sucked into his own thing and he could go anywhere he wants now. Which is
Yeah.
just like, oh shit.
Yeah, like if he wanted to disappear, he just.
yeah.
And then he just doesn't have to create any other portals and he'll appear anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Let's see what else today. Right down here. We got Ben Riley. He was pretty fun.
Yeah.
He was all sad and shit, which is
Yeah.
and he was like how Ben Riley should be, just sad, talking about how jacked he is because he's a specimen. Like,
Yeah.
and he was. I wasn't expecting him to join 2099 near the end. Like, I guess we can talk about that now too.
Maybe.
Miles getting sucked into Nueva York or the Spider-Man area where all the Spider-Men are.
Yeah.
And then pretty much 2099 being like, yeah, you ruined a canon event, which is basically canon event is where like how Uncle Ben dies in like Toby movies. Like that's a canon event. Like that's supposed to happen to progress that world or whatever. And Miles ruined it in Pav's world by saving the sheriff or whatever in that world, which he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah.
The weirdest part is that like most of them know when it's gonna happen because Gwen was trying to stop him from like hurting himself, but it was really to save the phase or whatever, the canon event.
Yeah.
And yeah, that set off Miguel pretty badly.
Yeah.
I really enjoy 2099 in this movie too.
Yeah.
He's dangerous and you can tell that he's trying to do the right thing, and I think he's gonna realize that in the next movie that like, oh, I'm a dick pretty much. But he's really sick in this movie.
Oh yeah. I'm glad he wasn't like completely overpowered though. Like he was really strong, but he wasn't to the point where it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The chase scene was great.
Yeah.
Getting chased around Nueva York. Literally all the Spider-Men just going after Miles was so sick. Just like
Yeah.
seeing all the different ones.
We saw like every Marvel Legends Spider-Man made. There was like a second where the Chrome Spider-Man appeared. It was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Bagman.
Yeah, Bagman. Even though he wasn't in the Fantastic Four gear, he was in a Spider-Man kind of gear. He was still there.
Yeah.
Spider Rex, the T
Yeah.
Rex, was pretty sick. I think one of my biggest, well, I wouldn't say biggest questions, but something I was interested about in going in was Cyborg Spider Woman, seeing what she would do, because she got a whole legend.
Yeah.
But she was pretty much just a part of the chase scene, which, I mean, she was sick, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't think she was in it enough to
Yeah.
make me pay $58 to get it.
It's probably a sick figure that I'll buy when it's on clearance.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. You saw the Gatling gun shoot like 4 times,
Yeah.
and that was it. It was like, oh, okay.
I wouldn't say it's like Rintra level of like,
Yeah.
okay, why is this
Yeah.
here? But like it was still pretty like, okay, this character was in the movie for like a total of like 6 minutes, and they got a deluxe figure based off of it. So
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Hopefully she plays a huge part in the next movie.
Yeah.
My guess is she'll be on 2099's team
probably, yeah.
when 2099 figures out that Gwen has like this whole team versus like just Scarlet Spider 2099 and Drew.
Yeah, Jess Drew.
Yeah.
I did not like Jess Drew in this movie.
Really?
I like the bike, but I don't know. I mean, I like her whole gimmick's kind of cool. Being pregnant while fighting was kind of interesting.
They like nodded towards it once.
Yeah.
And then it did not come up at all.
I mean, I'm guessing if I had to make a bold prediction, I'm guessing she probably lost her baby, because the second, like, she was pregnant during the like Vulture fight, but that was like a year ago compared to when Miles showed up.
Yeah.
So I mean, she had to have had birth by then. And then she kind of mentions like, oh, I got too close to someone, and like she was talking about her husband or boyfriend in that Vulture fight, but never brought it up again. So she might either, I feel like she either lost her boyfriend or her baby through like the canon event, and that kind of made her like this darker character towards the end with 2099.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, because with 2099, he disrupted a whole thing too, because his, like, he died in a universe and then he replaced that guy in the universe, and it's just like, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Let's see. One of my favorite scenes by far in this movie was when they veered to every like villain they caught, and Donald Glover was the Prowler. It was like, let's go! Like, our entire theater like popped off for that, because it was just like, I was not expecting that. They obviously like show like humans in the movie, like I'll get to that in a second, but literally, like, I was not expecting just Donald Glover.
Yeah, just sitting in a cage.
Yeah, so he's the MCU's Prowler, which is like, that's sick. Like,
Yeah.
He was already in the MCU for Homecoming, but he was just like in a parking garage. Like, I can't remember if he was a part of, I think he helped Peter with Shocker's kind of group in Homecoming, or if he was a part of Shocker's group in Homecoming. I can't remember.
Yeah, I just remember him getting stuck to the car.
Yeah.
And like him being mad about his ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be interesting when they do live action Miles.
Yeah.
I really, because I'm guessing they'd keep him as MCU's Prowler, because they're the only human in that movie. So, and then they obviously, well, I don't say obviously, but they mentioned Andrew and Toby, which was just that was awesome.
Pictures of him.
Yeah.
Where like their saddest scenes, and then they didn't name drop Tom, but they
did, Doctor Strange in that one Peter, like
that one
Spider-Man.
Peter from 1999.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 4 nines or 5 nines, but
yeah, no, that was sick.
Yeah.
When we were in the theater, I was like, bold prediction, Tom Holland's gonna be in this, and he was the one live action Spider-Man that wasn't in the movie, and so I was just like, god damn it. But I mean, I didn't really care, seeing Andrew and Toby sick too. But
Yeah.
um, there's just so much to talk about in this movie.
Lego.
Lego is sick.
I wish he was like in the chase scene.
Yeah,
Like I
no, that
didn't
would've been
see
sick.
him if he was, but I wish he like we saw him like in the background with his Lego webs.
I feel like he'll come back. I feel
Yeah.
like doing stop motion for that was probably pretty like hard, but like I mean 29.9 said that was one of the most important Peters.
Yeah.
So like I hope he comes back in the second movie. Another thing I wrote down that was like a pop off moment was when Spot went to Venom's universe and was in the market.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh shit!" And then Venom didn't show up, and I was
You're
like,
like,
"God
"Oh."
damn it!" But it was the older woman in the market, and Spot was like, "Why don't you seem like phased by this?" And she's like, "I've seen a lot already. Like, seen Venom eat someone in my market before. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's
Like, this is normal."
Yeah, maybe the next movie will be the movie that ties everything together.
That'd
like
be very cool.
Venom and the MCU. Because we only got like a hint at Venom, and then during one of the comic scenes where it was like zooming out, there was Eddie Brock getting attacked by Venom or consumed.
Yeah.
But
There's Spider Bite. That was
Yep.
interesting. Miles had a big old crush on Spider Bite.
Yeah.
And then Spider Bite ended up helping him leave, like towards the end of the movie, because he was trying to escape the Spider Society or whatever. And now she's a part, which we'll talk about. Gwen's group. We'll talk about that in a second. But Spider Bite was cool. She's in her like VR universe, like
Yeah.
working on stuff. That's kind of cool, honestly. Another Spider-Man that I wrote down was kind of cool. Web Slinger, like the cowboy Spider-Man
Oh, yeah.
with his horse. That was cool. There's
Yeah.
the cat that shoots webs out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That was fun. There's just so many like cool Spider-Man in this. Obviously, like the PlayStation Spider-Mans were in it.
Yeah.
The Spectacular Spider-Man from the cartoon was also in it.
Yeah.
That's
And-
cool.
And there's like the first comic appearance Spider-Man where he's like, "I'm coming." Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Also seeing the Peter B. Parker come back with the kid was really cool.
Yeah. He had a huge character arc there.
He went full dad mode
Yeah.
between movies. Like having his kid like be in the scenes was funny.
Yeah.
Like, having a baby harness on him, like just carrying the baby like during the chase scenes was like
Yeah.
really funny to me.
And then when he was like, "Miles, I had a kid because of you," it was like, oh. It's like I don't even know if that was Peter B. Parker like trying to stop him or if he was like actually felt that way. I want to believe he actually felt that way.
He definitely did, because I
Yeah.
mean Miles was the reason he even went back to his universe, because
Mm-hmm.
he was trying to stay on Miles' universe and just be Spider-Man there to get away from all the troubles that
Yeah.
he went through, and then he obviously went back and everything got fixed between him and Gwen, and
Yeah.
I'd say he was being serious with that. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about Gwen's group that was shown at the end.
It's pretty much everyone from the first
Yeah,
movie and then a couple more.
Yeah, Peter Porker's back.
Yeah.
Spider Noir's back.
Yeah.
Penny Parker with her new robot.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. Yeah. And Gwen got Spider Bite, Spider Punk, Pav. It's gonna be a really fun team.
Yeah.
I hope Legends makes like all of them, because that'd be such a sick like team to have,
Yeah.
honestly. But we could talk about the cliffhanger, because this
Oh
is
my
part
god.
one.
Oh.
So Spider Bite helped Miles get back to his universe, and everything seemed really weird, and it was genuinely a good like swerve moment, because Miles came home. We didn't really talk much about Miles and his parents kind of arc going on. Miles has been wanting to tell his parents that he's Spider-Man
Yeah.
for a while, and then when he came back, he told his mom, but his mom was like, with Spider-Man.
Yeah, then it was like,
What is that? And I was like, okay, what is going on?
yeah,
And Miles is like, oh, like Spider-Man worked with my dad, like worked with Dad. She was like, whatever, like okay. And then his uncle walks in. It's like, okay, this is really
yeah,
weird. So he went to the universe, like of the spider that bit him, not his own universe. So
yeah,
a universe without Spider-Man in it. So everything's just full of crime, full of everything. And you see his uncle. Uncle like kidnaps this Miles. And one cheeky thing the mom says is like, "Oh, why'd you take out your braids?" And Miles is like, "What? Like I didn't have braids." And then come to find out that Miles is Prowler in that
yeah,
universe. Like it's like, "Oh shit. Like that's
yeah,
crazy." And he's got these long dreads and or braids and it's just like, "Oh, this is getting me sick." Like
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. No, that was crazy. Um yeah.
Ah.
We had to take 2 days to record this because I just needed time to process.
Yeah, it's a movie you go see and then after you're just like quiet for an hour just thinking about it.
'Cause there's just so much at once, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just like with Guardians, I would say this is my new favorite movie of the year in my opinion. Guardians 3 was great and it was a great surprise. Like
Yeah.
it reset that, well, not reset, but it made me excited for the MCU all over again. And this one's just like, can it be next year already? Like
Yeah.
it needs to be part 2. I can't remember what part 3 is called. I remember they showed it at the end, but
Yeah, I
it
don't.
was something Spider-Verse again, but yeah, no. Great movie. Like I think it's better than the first one in my
Yeah.
opinion, which is crazy because everyone was saying the first one is the best Marvel movie of all time.
Yeah.
Um and it's a top 3 book movie of all time. So if that's a top 3, this tops that one in my opinion. Yeah. Um if I were to rate it out of 10, I would probably go with a 9 or 9.5 cuz I'm giving it space for the third movie to come out.
Yeah.
I would give it this a 10, but I just feel like the third one's going to be even better, which is crazy. Um I don't know if you want to give it a rating or
Yeah,
not.
I'd give it like a 9.2.
Yeah. Cuz I feel like that's obviously incomplete. It's like
Yeah.
Infinity War and Endgame. Like Infinity War is like, now we have to wait a year for Endgame, which is
Yeah.
like, they're comparable in that way. I wouldn't say they're comparable in any other way because they're completely different circumstances.
Yeah.
MCU, more than half the heroes disappeared with the snap. This one's just like, what's gonna happen with Miles? Is he gonna save his dad, which is the whole thing, which we forgot to mention. God,
Yeah.
the whole thing was 2099 was like, oh yeah, like your dad's gonna die because that was the canon event for his universe was like his dad was about to die. He just became like the
Yeah.
chief of the police force
Yeah.
in New York, and Miles is like, why would I let that happen? And he's like, because you have to. That's
Yeah.
what you have to do. And he's like, I'm not gonna let my dad die.
Yeah.
Knowing that my dad's gonna die, I'm not gonna let that happen. Which brings back another cool thing about Gwen's universe is her dad was supposed to die, but he quit his job.
Mhm.
So he saved his own life when
Yeah.
Gwen disappeared by quitting. So because Gwen went back to her universe, like when she got kicked out by 2099,
Yeah.
and was like, oh, should I go talk to my dad now? And turns out her dad quit being a cop, and that was another like one of those like heart-wrenching scenes. Like this is nice, like
Yeah.
they got to help each other out, kind of seeing. Yeah, so
Yeah, because she's talking to him knowing he's gonna die, and it's like, oh.
it was like, she's like, why don't you just arrest me? And he's like, I can't. She's like, why? Like, because I quit my job. I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, all right, nice.
Yeah.
I did write a couple cons. I don't really have many, but just as a couple, this doesn't even have to do with the movie. My biggest gripe is the Legends line that came out for this movie. Um, Miles, Gwen, 2099, and Spider-Punk, I think are really good figures. I think they work really well.
Yeah.
But Jess Drew, I don't really like her figure. I think it looks like her in the movie. I think it'd be cool if she came with the bike, because like that was a big part of the movie, was her bike.
Yeah.
She was on it pretty much all the scenes you see her in.
Uh-huh.
Peter B. Parker literally doesn't look like him in the movie in the slightest.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because it would spoil that he had a kid.
Yeah.
But he had a pink jacket the entire movie and
Like
a baby
robe.
harness. Yeah. And his figure's just him with shorts and then a top half Spider-Man. It's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Cyborg, Spider-Woman, just not in the movie enough.
Yeah.
I think it's a sick figure. I don't think it's worth $60.
No.
But it's sick. And then I think Spot needs more things with him. Like, Spot, just being Spot with like one hole is just like, you gotta give me more than just that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of my biggest gripes. Another thing, very small, Armadillo made a cameo
and got
fucking clapped. It was literally just Miles trying to get away from Spot, I think, and Armadillo shows up. He's like, run! And Miles just kicks him across the planet. It's just like, okay, cool. Just buried Armadillo. That's fine. And my last con, just because, like, it's not even a con, it's a good story arc. It's just annoyed me was the fact that, like, no one visited Miles for, like, that whole year.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
they were all scared.
Yeah, because they were all scared that he would find out about the Spider Society and, like, canon events and stuff like that, which obviously didn't end up being a good thing because now Miles is going against the Spider Society, but that also sets up Gwen's team against 2099, which is gonna be sick. But because I don't think it's a bold prediction, but I don't think 2099 ever trusted Gwen. I think Jess Drew just kind of felt bad for her because her dad was being a dick at the beginning of the movie and was trying to arrest her.
Yeah.
And Jess Drew was like, all right, you can come with us for now. Like, you can learn how to be a part of the Spider Society. But I don't think they ever really wanted Gwen to be a part of it. And it's because she has too many connections with Miles. And because she couldn't visit Miles. She wasn't allowed to. And then Spot showed up, so she finally did come and see.
Yeah.
Like, if Spot was never there, she would have never came back to see Miles, I don't think. Because, yeah, so it was more of just me being annoyed than actual con, because I think it was good storytelling, but it's just like, God.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any cons, but
I mean, yeah, it was a lot. Took a lot to process. It's a movie that, like, I guess you can go to it casually. I don't think you'll enjoy it as much if you don't know a lot about Spider-Man or Marvel, because you won't get all the Easter eggs. But
yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, it's a great looking movie. Like, the animation is unbelievable. It's just and other different spider people having all their, like, respective animations from their own worlds is like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, and then all of them coming together. Yeah, I just want to build the teams out of Legends.
Yeah. Like, Team 2099 versus Team Miles / Gwen would be, like, so cool. I don't think they'll, unless they do, like, what Legends does with Disney Plus figures, where they just randomly drop Disney Plus waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I do hope they come out with a lot of these figures, though, because I want to go buy a 2099 and I'll probably buy this Miles just because it's so different from the first movie Miles, because I had the first movie Miles. And then probably I'll think about Spider-Punk. I wish he came with like his actual head. Like not just
Yeah.
like the masked head. I wish he came with like the actual head too, because that'd be sick. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
There's one thing I was trying to remember from it, but I just don't. I
What
do
part
not.
is it from? Do you remember it all or no?
No, it was like we were just kind of talking about it too. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot to process in this movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, super spot. Like mega spot.
Oh yeah.
Absorbing all like the energy from the other worlds, like recreating the Kingpin event and then just jumping in it to gain more power. So it's not only going to be like Team Gwen versus Team 2099, but also like Mega Spot.
It'll obviously probably start with 29-9 versus Gwen, and then it'll go, why are we fighting? We need to fight
Yeah.
Spot, because Spot's about to destroy everything.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see if Miles' dad dies or not, because I feel like it's set up to be like, he's not going to die, Miles is going to save him. But I could genuinely just see him still dying,
Yeah.
and Miles just accepting like that sucked, but like I need to keep going, like, and I think that'll make him even more like lovable as a character too, because he already went through his uncle like dying because he's Prowler. Kingpin just shot him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'd be fine if he survived too. I'm not saying I want his dad to die, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I also hope he tells his parents that he
I
is
think they'll find out
Miles,
somehow.
because I feel like that'd really frustrate me after like he told the wrong universe like mom that he is, and she was confused as hell. And I think, I don't think this is a bold prediction, but a prediction, I think Miles Prowler is gonna help them. I think they're gonna fight each other and then go, and then Miles will explain that like, oh, my dad's gonna. Well, I think he tried to explain that, but he's like,
Yeah.
that's not my dad because he's already dead. But I could see that Prowler helping Miles eventually in the third movie. I don't see Miles just kicking the shit out of himself and then going, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could talk all day about this movie. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll kind of cut it around here.
Yeah, I think that's good for now.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, leave a comment. How do you like Across the Spiderverse? I think it's the best. Like, I think it's the best of the trilogy so far. Obviously, the third one hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I think that the third one has a chance to top this one, because I think this was. I think another difference between Infinity War and this movie is this was a lot of like backstory for other characters too.
Yeah.
And this is building up to the third movie, whereas Infinity War feels like its own movie, and Endgame also felt like a culmination of that part. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about still. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a setup movie. I
Yeah.
think they definitely made it. And they were like, guys, this movie's like 2 hours. So they're like, I guess we'll split it into 2 parts.
I don't think this is a con. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I don't think it's a con, but something I did notice was I knew this was going to be a part 1 going into this.
Yeah.
And there was a like 20-minute gap at the end where I felt the cliffhanger coming, just didn't know when it was coming.
Yeah.
So it'd keep edging you until finally the Miles Prowler part was just like the ending for that part, obviously, and then Gwen's team was shown too,
Yeah.
which is another thing. But yeah, I don't know. I was, because I wouldn't say it felt long, but I just knew we were coming to the end of the movie at some point, and I was just wondering when it would end, and then, yeah.
I am glad that it ended when it did though, because it could have been a lot worse. Because it could have been like, we get to see Miles Prowler, and then it cuts. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And seeing Team Gwen at the end was
Yeah.
sick as hell,
I
too,
think
so.
it was a good job ending it there, because
Yeah.
then we like still get to see the whole team and everyone from the first movie back together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Great movie. Like I said, let us know how you felt about it down below. Let us know if you enjoy these more like individual episodes for movie reviews. I don't know how many we'll do 'cause we really only go to the movies for like superhero movies.
yeah,
Maybe our next one will be the Flashpoint movie review.
that's true.
I do want to go see that. So let us know if you'd want to see that. Comment, like, subscribe. You know how it be. See you guys next time.
Yep.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye.